It's different now, and this has been a serious problem for at least a decade. And people, and I swam in that river. I haven't been to the ocean right near the estuary. And then there's also other rivers that run. So I'm scared when I take my dogs, right? I'm scared when I take them to the beach, and I'm always kind of like really mindful. I'm looking for algae, specific kind of algae, because obviously there's natural algae. And so, I'm very mindful of it. I went into the vet and just normal, puppy checkup. So he had just been swimming in my pool, which I had been swimming them in the pool because I was like, I don't know about this water. Like, I've never seen it closed. And it was my favorite beach when I was a kid. It's called Bathtub Beach. And it's like so shallow, and you can just sit there in the warm, clear, salty water, not anymore. So that beach was closed. So I was really nervous about it. I was taking them half an hour away, but like I said, we're surrounded. But one of the worst problems is right here because he was wet because we had been out in the pool. And I was like, no, no, no. And she's like, she starts crying, and she says her, patient dog just died, and because they couldn't keep the dog out of the river because it just loves to swim. And that's how my bigger dog is. I'll let you take over a little bit, Gerardo, but I will say that there's the divide and conquer just comes into play so hard. And the people saying it's because of big shit that we're facing right now is the corporate powers have such good divide and conquer going that all the people that care about this issue are even against each other in ways. So I was really, really happy to see Aaron Brockovich come down here and team up with one of our congressmen and address multiple layers of the problem and multiple ideas on how to go about it. So that was refreshing. I really think there needs to be unity around it. And even if one of the theories is wrong, it's highly unlikely that only one thing is causing this huge problem,
Yeah. Yes. This is what I want to do, because it looks like we got everybody in the room. We started late. I wanted to kick it off to multiple platforms.
And the Shakti Journal is my page, and Om Namah Shivaya.
This is Gerard, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip through some pictures here real quick. So I'm going to show the some of the pictures from your site. And so what we have, we talked a little while ago about the ocean dead zones. We talked about how stormwater runoff is causing major problems all around the world and in the United States. We talked about how fertilizer and the runoff of herbicides and sewage, there's so many different things that we're dumping into the waterways that are ending up in the ocean that are causing massive algae blooms. And so we have large swaths of ocean dead zones. And what was new for me that Sharistan just introduced me to, which I really appreciate, is that this is a huge problem in Florida. I had no idea. And so one of the things, Sharistan, that you mentioned was the blame shift and how we go back and forth and who do you blame and who did it. And, we do have to get to a point where we stop playing these games. I love to blame this theory, that theory. It doesn't really matter what it comes down to. And so all the runoff that they're pumping from the sugarcane farmers, the excess exploding, right? It's exploding.
And to add to that, cows living right on the riverbed is a problem. We have, we have cow farming right on that riverbed. So basically it washes everything you're saying. Plus, we need, there's no regulation on moving that back from washing all the cow manure into the river.
Right. So all that extra spot. Exactly. Yeah, it's a nutrient apocalypse. And I mean, we see it all over the world. And the biggest issue is that, everyone, they play the blame game. The reality is we're doing unnatural things and it's profitable, right? And there are various industries behind it. We have corporations that run our government. They buy the politicians. But in addition to that, it's not just them selling chemicals and sugar and mass farming and all the things that are happening, the sewer stormwater runoff, but also politicians in general they do things that affect their term, right? They're only in there for 4 years or so. They're going to do things where there's an immediate benefit. And if there's no immediate benefit, like you just can't stop everything today and it will be okay. If you stopped everything today, so you ban fertilizer, which to me, I like ban fertilizer. I love to stick on my words. It's stupid. I think it's dumb that people don't know how to grow plants, grow plants. I think we live in a crazy world where farmers have no idea how to grow plants, and they refuse to grow plants the way their ancestors did because it was sustainable and it made good sense. But anyway, so if we banned all of that and we forced everybody to take care of their human poo, I believe your poo is for you. You keep your poo on your property. I keep my poo on my property. We don't have these big sewer. But if we stopped all of this and we did all these sustainable things tomorrow, the reality is it's still a decade-long, fix that you wouldn't really start to see a benefit. And so as a politician, you need to be able to show that I did this, and so reelect me. And if it's 10
where that's no longer going to be true, where we're going to be so endangered that blame Big Sugar. I love to boycott Big Sugar. I love to, tell people to do so for their health first and foremost, and then the health of the earth, and then the health of, dollar votes not going to super uncaring, irresponsible people who don't need it, So there's layers of priority in my mind. But at the same time, if we as a people want to blame one thing, we're going to get led down the wrong road. The wrong politician. They're not going to have a solution that would actually work. So we're coming to this turning point where the people's lives honestly depend on them, and not necessarily by voting. I mean, I think that we should all vote. I still am going to vote locally because I do think that it does make some difference at this point. When we can get amendments passed and when we have somebody that is educated on the issues. I don't know who, I'm actually registered to vote down here this year, and I don't know who I'm voting for yet. But I do like some of the things Brian Mast is saying. And just to sum up the last point on that is just like, we're going into such catastrophic times that like everything's going to suffer unless person, but every person looking, we do have an independent rep and share it with you, and you can share with your audience later. Yeah, I think at this point, I'm, really going to encourage people to vote green unless there's, green or independent, unless there's something that's period. Because they're, like you said, they're sold out, unless we, and the Green Party really is the only party that doesn't take super PACs and doesn't take that kind of bribery to corporations. So I think, I think it's wasted to vote for either. And honestly, I'm scared for the children today. I mean, people said that when I was a kid, but I'm like looking around me like, wow, I can't swim in my ocean. I can't swim in my river. I'm scared that my dogs are going to breathe this stuff in. I'm scared of them sniffing my neighbor's lawn because they spray it with pesticides. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, you can't, you can't go crazy. But this is kind of what I see. I'm not a punch puller. I don't believe in pulling punches. I believe in just everybody needs to take it on the jaw where they need to take it. And totally agree with the fact that, this is not a Democrat not about in terms of you make the solution and you hand it to your government. You don't wait for them to hand it to you, because what they'll do is they play that selective game. We see this all the time. They get their money from Big Sugar, so they'll blame stormwater runoff. They'll blame the sewer system. They'll blame other things, or they get their money and they're involved in municipalities and they rolled out some of this legislation.
Almost 12 years now working on the fracking thing, the GMO thing, this problem on all those fronts. But I can't say that people aren't doing that. I mean, that's what we're doing. But what what happens is, and this is why I like what Brian Mast is saying for Florida, what happens is the federal land is fracked. They have no control over whether your water is used for fracking. They have no control over your water.
Right.
Well, they do, but they might just change it like Flint to a dirty water source to save a few bucks. You never know. So, you know, there's these problems of bureaucracy that, you know, the question really that awake people, I think, are facing and feeling frustrated with is like, where do we go from here? Those of us who don't believe it's like about revolting in the streets, you know, is it about more boycotting? Is it about like up leveling our game on all these fronts? You know, like what is it? Because, you know, are we at a tipping point? You know, who knows? You know, you never know when you are. You know,
well, we always talk about the great disaster. You know, people wake up when it hurts enough. And the reality is right now, it doesn't hurt enough. It's still a profitably wonderful problem to have. The federal government doesn't care. I don't pull any punches. The politicians don't care. See, this is what I see. Is being a politician, you went from providing a service to doing.
Like, can you please?
Out of sight, out of mind, right? Like if it's not.
Eat the lobster right now.
Well,
and you know, people who want to high a number of times over the amount of exposure that's safe for humans. You know, like I don't even want to be next to the river, like breathing the breeze.
Right, right. Well, you know, because I was watching some of the news, and so I guess to explain the problem a little further, and so what it is, it's a balance issue, right? When you add too much phosphorus, you add too many nitrates to a lake or river system, you get the other species, the single cellular and smaller multicellular species that thrive on it. So you get algae blooms, and it's not a bad thing; it's a balance thing. The algae is trying to clean up the excess nitrate from the idiots who don't know how to grow plants and the people pulling too much in the sewer systems. And so the algae blooms to clean up the water to protect the fish. But the algae bloom, they die, they fall to the bottom, they start to decay and break apart. It turns into a myoxic condition, which is basically anaerobic. There's not enough oxygen in the water. It runs off into the sea, and you have massive dead areas where nothing can live. And so the Earth, the planet, it's rebalancing itself out. The shame is you have different algae that thrive in those type of anaerobic conditions, and some of those algae are toxic. And so if your river has that particular type of algae, you and your kids are going kayaking, and you're going through this sludge, and you breathe it in, and your kid passes out. But the thing is, it's out of sight, out of mind. If I'm a bass fisherman on Lake Okeechobee and I don't see the problem, I look past it. If I'm a sugar farmer and I'm making money, I kind of look past it. And it's just, so this is where it's not a politician issue, you know, and so do more of the same. No, more of the same God is here. This whole Democrat Republican thing.
We gotta open our. We gotta be okay with the bad news before we can actually proactively do and unity, which is the most important.
Absolutely nothing to do with ecosystems and human life on this planet. You know, so division's a big part of it. That's why I disagree with anyone. We need to get in the streets and fight. No, dummy, you need to educate yourself on the problem because you won't actually ever get anywhere. We got here going to the street and fight. We got here listening to the politicians and letting them talk. I am a little extreme when it comes to that. You know, the farmers have known, and I pick on farmers a little bit. It's all across the board, from the water systems and the sewer and everything else. But we've known this for a long time. We've known this is a problem, and we've decided to do nothing about it. And so, well, if you stop using fertilizer to cut it back, it's going to cause problems. We won't make as much profit. That's your problem. That's not the Earth's problem. That's not the manatee's problem. It's not the dolphin's problem. It's not the thousands of businesses' problems that are strewn all the way throughout the river systems into the ocean. You've known about this. You've decided to act non-sentient, not fix the problem, not move towards adding all types of water filtration plants and different things you can do to protect your runoff and limiting your pesticide schedule. They've decided to not do that. So now it's time to take it on the chin. That's what we need. We need politicians, if anything, who listen to the people who are willing to let industries take it on the chin for their immense greed. I'm just done with playing. I don't believe in pulling punches, and I'm tired of playing with this whole Democrat, Republican, you know, crocodile tear nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I get upset because like you said, the kids won't have a future if we keep acting this stupid.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I hope you might be right, you know, instead of anarchy in the streets, maybe it's just such a big crisis that people can no longer shut their eyes on our own intuition and our own survival mechanisms. We have become through the end.
You can have whatever pride and whatever little birth bigotry you have. You're gonna die, and so are your kids, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was gonna say I love what you said about researching the problems, understanding them, and also being open to talk about them without it being like a bad thing. Like I have some friends that it's really hard for me because it's always like as soon as I bring up anything like this, it's kind of there's a freezing action. You know, like kind of a shutting down, shutting off, and like a waiting until I'm done. And I'm like, is this not important? I don't understand.
No, it's not. Like, it's not. None of this is important.
You know, and I don't know what to do with myself sometimes. I'm just like, I can't, you know, and then the next thing out of their mouth, it'll be like a newspaper heading that says a kid at water and algae and closed beaches that are happening right now.
Like we're dying, right? You have manatees trying to swim in sludge. You have all types of everything from boating to just different industries that are failing because this algae sludge is all over the coastline. Low tier type stuff. When your politicians are talking about things that mean absolutely nothing to human survival, it's time to move on.
And there's just zero boats. It's
yeah,
just
you know,
all
you're right. I was looking at the report, and the funny thing, well, it's not even funny. It's just scary. But all the economy that's based on boating there, you would think would be an outrage, and it's not even that. Any of the practices that they're doing have anything to do with like the economy, in terms of how Florida makes a lot of its money. This is just a deadlock issue where no one's doing anything significant. You know, it's at the bare bones base. If we can agree that the environment that we all need to survive in is more important than any industry and their profits and any of their politicians that they're funding. And they're usually funding both sides. These industries know what they're doing. They're not stupid. They have the Republicans in this pocket and they got the Democrats in that pocket, and they'll make sure that they're still making money through either channels or either industries or either businesses. This is why when you say the Green Party, just don't care. No matter how much you cry, how much you get on the side of the road with signs, no matter how much you call, because they know come election time, they can get you scared of the other people. They can get you scared of the other side. You're scared of your health care. You're scared of your job, which is why they're not providing a service to the public. They're just doing a job. The job is to make as much money as they can for industries, to get as much campaign contributions as they can to get reelected, and to ignore you. To look at you, oh, they give you a smile, to give you a hug, to kiss your baby, they'll take a picture with you. And at the end of the day, they don't do anything. They haven't done anything. Fire all of them. Gone. Fired. Yep. That's my stand. Get rid of them.
Have been set up since World War II to supposedly, or one, whenever they started, to be remade with real science, vetted by the citizens and multiple countries of scientists and multiple different organizations, not the viable, and that's all we can face. Is made.
And they keep giving you French fries, right? They give you your fry training. You sit down, okay, we're gonna cook the fries. You put them at 375, you cook them for 30 minutes, and this is the fry, you put it in the basket, okay. You try the first time, you burn the fries. Okay, all right, well, no, maybe you didn't get it the first time. We're gonna try it again, okay? And cook the fries again. Try to cook the fries, you burn the fries again. Oh, no. How many years of burning the fries will they let Fry Guy stay employed? How many years will Burger King let Fry Guy sit back there and burn everybody's fries? right? We have more priority in making sure the fry guy is accountable than we do politicians that run the damn world. We have lost it. This is why I'm saying we can't divide anymore. We are at apocalyptic levels for ecosystems that we can't reboot. Nature is going to deal with us, right? And this is what I'm saying. It's a balance issue. Nature already knows what it's doing. Nature doesn't really care. Nature, to me, it is a big system, and we're a part of it. And this is okay. Hey, you guys want to kill your environment? That's up to you. I'm going to keep producing algae. I'm going to keep care what McCain had to say. I don't care what Lindsey Graham has. I don't care what the EPA, you failed. You need to be deleted from top to bottom, gone. And this is not a statement against the people who work for the EPA. I got a lot of friends who work there, and they know what they're doing, and they know the problem with the bureaucracy and the politics. But the EPA as an entire system completely failed the ecosystems and every damn human being in this planet. The whole thing needs to be deleted, gutted, and you need to talk to the lower level people in the EPA, the smaller departments that actually are solving problems, and you ask them, how do we put together a protection agency that doesn't have the same flaws as this failed for-profit, screwed up, destroying the ecosystems, killing the manatee and the sturgeon, polluting the coastline, ridiculous pesticide, 11 of the popular pesticides that are being sold are in all of our children. You completely failed. You are a fry guy that can't cook a damn fry. Go. That's where I am. I'm just, enough is enough. That's all.
And Erin Brockovich, you guys look out for posts. She's actually touring Florida right now. She does have a Facebook page, but she was going up to Lake Okeechobee. She was taking a whole tour and getting a lot of information from them. So I'm hoping somebody will get some footage and, you know, check back in. And she is going to go to DC apparently with Brian Mast, and they are trying to push for legislation which would basically discharge the water in the off season to farmers and other places that need it, and discharge the water in general during the off season. One of the reasons this has gone on for so long, and the algae blooms in the old days, it would just be maybe a little bit May and June. And then like the last 10 years, it started to be like April through July, August. And now this year it's October and we have closed beaches and algae out the wazoo. So it's obviously just getting like worse and worse, and it's going to be a year-round phenomenon if we don't start diverting and, you know, changing this whole thing now. And also the other precautions. She's going to meet with farmers. She's going to, so things like setting these cattle ranches back off of the river, you know, and you know, there's lots that can be done, and it's just, Florida's just not been able to get anything done because the federal government won't let our local governments really do anything. They won't let our local fishermen, you know, have a voice. And yeah, so thank you guys for caring and sharing. And
what do if you're watching this? The first thing you can do is you can share the video like you care. That's number one. If you haven't shared it, if you're worried about what your friends think, we are talking about the death of a planet. We're talking about the death of ecosystems and extinctions. That might just be a little more important than Kavanaugh. Not that I'm you scared of Kavanaugh, but we need to be scared of some real big things. We got bigger things to be scared of. You don't slay the little baby drag. They talk about things we talk about. They talk about things we're scared of. If you're still scared of your neighbor, then that's what they'll talk about. That's what'll make it into the mainstream media. But if you want to help out, you're scared. You say, I'm not scared of Tiki Torch Nazis. I'm scared of algae. I'm scared of toxic blooms. I'm scared of like death and you poisoning entire ecosystems. So what do is you make these things go viral. You educate yourself so you can talk about them to prevent the problems. If you're using, you should I hate the word legislation. Maybe you should support some legislation with it instead of it pushing all the chemicals. You know, maybe you should Think about using natural things in your house, right? Because part of it comes down to us in terms of the soaps and the lotions and the colognes and all the things we do in
Cleaning
supporting,
supplies.
right, and supporting all of the chemical stuff, all the chemical runoff. There are tons of things we can do, but we have to be smart enough. We have to care enough to prioritize things that make sense. It's easy to stand back and point at industries too and just say, oh, you guys did it. The fix is all yours. We buy their crap. What do you buy from them? Are you still buying things from them? Go to your Home Depot. They got the sign everywhere. They use it on their plants. Are you still
And
supporting them? And there's so
and
many things we can do.
fast food, you know, like I won't lie, I break down every now and maybe I'll stop now that I have my confession. But the thing is, like, if you're eating meat, do not eat any fast food, because it's not even just about the fact that it's horrible for you. It's also the fact that it's horrible for these animals that are factory farmed. And a lot of these cases, this is the sludge that's messing up water all over the country. And on a final note, I was absolutely astonished to hear Erin Brockovich say that of all of the different algae blooms she has visited, from New York to California to anywhere, this is the worst one she's ever seen here in Florida, on the Treasure Coast, specifically Martin County and Port St. Lucie County and Palm Beach County. They're right on the coast, all one on top of the other. You know, the guys on the West Coast, they're getting it just as bad. It's just, it hasn't ever been this bad over here. They've been getting it bad for much longer than us. So, you know, that's just our situation. But
and what affects each other's lives, then corporations need to make profit and buy politicians. And so we need to just we need to start being scared of the things that are scary. We got to stop being scared of the monster under the bed and the monster in the closet. And we got to start making changes in our lives. Like I said, I don't like to tell people what to do in their lives. I make changes in my own. How do I support this? How do I walk away? These industries are here and they can buy the politicians because we work for them, we support them, and we just have to walk away. So I appreciate you.
And let's not forget also that about having the heart and connecting to yourself and the earth enough to make that little effort. So it's going to, you know, we're all going to be at different places. I know Ivana said she never eats fast food. Good job, Ivana. Yes. You know, and she's going to inspire me. You know, she's got that one on lock. But it's really, those are prayers. Every time we say, you know what, I'm going to do this differently, or I'm going to, you know, I'm going to think about the water. I'm going to just stop eating sugar. I'm going to stop using the sugar packets, even though they're free. You know, I'm not buying sugar, but I'm going to stop using those because I know then the company's going to order more from Big Sugar, you know?
Right.
So
Use stevia.
Whatever your little tiny thing is, it doesn't have to be anything specific. We don't have to judge each other. And I think we
profitable corporation on this planet because they're all of the cost of their runoff, the cost of these externalities that destroy ecosystems, the environment, they got to get cleaned up. Geoengineering. And that's another thing that people have to really grow up to and accept the fact that we spray toxins all over this planet for various reasons. And if you disagree with that, there are university studies that show we do that. There are CIA whistleblowers that said that they do that, and this was the plan. Whether we do it today or not, there are pictures of chemtrails and things all over that people post. So I'm not saying I believe everything. I'm simply saying that government can no longer have these secrets. This is what I say every single day. We're done with secrecy. We're done with big corporate secrets. We're done. If you're making vaccines, you're making chemicals, you're making herbicides and pesticides, and you've got studies that are showing that
who are of all ages and multiple different states now, who know the government is geoengineering, but a child shredding $1,000 doesn't.
It's just not important anymore. It's not important what the police are doing, because the same legislators writing the laws who broke the police are writing the legislation, allowing the poisoning of the ecosystem, which is all gonna kill us. It's gonna kill us all. So anyway, hey, I'm glad that you came on. I certainly appreciate it. Appreciate everybody joining.
Thank you all.
Share the video. I got homework for you. Go out and educate yourself on what's happening with geoengineering. Educate yourself on what's happening with dead ocean zones. And then come back and share the link. Share it on Facebook. Share it on this video if you like. But keep going. You have to dominate the conversation. You determine what goes viral. You have the ability to make the mainstream media talk about what's important. You have the ability to show them that you're not scared anymore.
One last thing, hosting an event next summer, the Shakti Speakeasy, and I'd love you to come, Gerard. I'll tell you more about it. But you can check it out at the shaktijournal.com/speakeasy, and we're just amazing people, including Cynthia McKinney and Protect Flora. An art. See you guys. Hi, Maria.